Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And Darryl, this is episode 309. There Will Be Carnage. We haven't written the name down yet, but I'm going to call it There Will Be Carnage.
And also, we're in the same room.
Again, 2 weeks in a row.
What's going on here?
What is going on here is I was extremely busy this week. I went to bed before 11 o'clock 3 times this week. And I did not have a chance to plan the podcast until I called you at, like 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I have a crazy idea. Let's go watch Venom tonight and then come back and review it. So guess what? You guys are going to get just our Venom review this week. No news, no nothing else. Actually, we're gonna do What Are You Reading?
Yes.
So...
or watching.
Watching, whatever, yeah.
Reading, watching.
At the end of the episode. And then Darryl is going to email me tomorrow what he's doing so I can add it to the show notes because I'm not going to write anything down for this. Anywho, yeah, so if you're used to the timestamps, that's not going to be in this episode either on the show notes. All right, so we've been back for about an hour. We had some pizza, some very mediocre Donatos.
Yeah. Played with Toph.
Yeah, played with the pup. Our ladies are out there watching Addams Family, the movie.
Which was kind of funny because we saw the poster at the movie theater.
So I don't think any of the Addams Family stuff will live up to the show and the Tim Burton movies.
No, I don't.
So,
I would agree with that.
And Addams Family Values is like one of the best movies ever. And consequently, it's a sequel that is better than the original.
Yeah, you have those.
Which...
they're not often.
Is exactly what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
So, or in this podcast, how about that? Because it might not be night when you're listening to it. So, all right. So yeah. So we're going to talk Let There Be Carnage. Venom. Let There Be Carnage. And I have to say, I laughed a lot during this movie. Oh, also, actually, spoilers. Mm-hmm. And also, before we get into it. We can announce now that our show at Fretboard Brewing on November 8th, we are doing it in concert with Toys for Tots. So if you want to come, bring a toy, make a kid happy at Christmas.
It's a good cause.
Check out the Fretboard Brewing events for more information. All right. Cool. Now that that's out of the way, I got to make like a little commercial about that just to run before we talk, just in general. All right. So this movie, this was really funny. I did not expect it to be, and it's not like unintentionally funny. It is intentionally funny.
Yes.
And I thoroughly enjoyed that. As serious as some of these superhero movies have been lately, this was a little breath of fresh air.
Right.
Although I can't imagine how bad Eddie Brock's apartment smelled. So, yeah, so this is... The movie starts, though, like back in the 90s with a young Cletus Kasady, still voiced by Woody Harrelson, though.
That was one of those things. Just have the dude who was the actor do that.
So that right there, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is not... It did not kick off on the strongest foot.
No.
With that scene. Not only with that, but with the what's his girlfriend's name?
Is it Frances?
Frances, yeah. With Frances Barrison, Shriek, like just kind of it just didn't work, It was just weird in the whole like twist tie ring that she still had like 40 years later. Mm-hmm. It's like, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, so to me, it started off a little weird, right? But I will say, going in, this movie already had 3 stars from me because it was only 90 minutes long, which is the perfect runtime for a movie.
I have to disagree with that in the type of movies. Well, the type of movie. It really depends on the type of movie because we've talked about movies being too long. And I usually give it 10 more. I usually give it 10 more minutes than you do. So you'll say, this could have been 30 minutes shorter. And I'm like, 15 or 20 minutes. And the point is a lot of movies have a lot of fat they should be trimming. This didn't have that. Now, I think they could have done more with, and we'll talk about, I think they could have done more with Kasady, but at the same time, it's not a movie about him necessarily.
Right.
It's about Eddie and Venom, and that's where most of the time should be spent. And they do a good job going through the arc of these two characters, trying to figure out what they mean, what they are to each other.
Yeah. So just for reference, this was 97-minute runtime. The first Venom was 112-minute runtime. So yeah, but to your point, I think if they added any more to Cletus, it'd have been too much. And because Woody was definitely hamming it up.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in a good way, like he needed to. So that there's no, like, this is how the character needed to be played, over the top, flamboyant serial killer. And I thought he nailed it. I always liked Carnage from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon more than I ever liked Carnage in the comics. And on the other side of that, I liked Venom as Agent Venom more than I've liked him as Venom in the comics. So let's kind of just level set my thoughts of these characters here. But I thought this was a really great portrayal of Cletus Kasady and then Carnage eventually.
Yeah, your over-the-top statement is absolutely right. And I told you about this. I don't know how many people that are listening have watched the movie *Malignant*. It's on HBO Max, and it is not what you expect it to be. And it can go one of two ways. You can see that and say, oh, wow, this is terrible. Or what I did within the first 5 minutes, kind of like this movie, it had that over-the-top, campy, cheesy type feel. And so what did I do? I recalibrated my expectations and how I was going in. So if I was thinking this was, say, and again, partially because I knew what the first Venom was like.
Right.
So that gives you an idea of what this was. But they even went further with this one. But if I was expecting, say, a Winter Soldier movie where it was super serious and then I couldn't get past that expectations, I wouldn't have liked it. But I liked the first Venom movie. I really like this one too.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about this coming out of the movie, like because Jess was with us, your girlfriend, and she hasn't seen the first one. And to be honest, you don't need to have seen the first one to enjoy this movie. I dug my heels in the first time out and didn't see the movie forever.
Yeah.
Like, it was out on like iTunes, and I think I watched it on like a streaming service like Stars or something whenever it was on there. And I just bought it this weekend because it was on sale. And I was like, oh, sweet. I definitely want to watch that again. I'll definitely buy this. I mean, and I do think watching them both together will be fun because there's that scene with Anne, like halfway point of the movie, where I totally forgot they faked Venom's death.
Yeah, I did too.
So, and part of that is because, again, I said, hey, let's go watch this and review it tonight. And I did not have a chance to watch the first one again. But I will say the production value is really good. I think they were really smart to keep it to Eddie's apartment, the convenience store, and then a couple different like outdoor locations until the third act with Venom. And then with Cletus, it was the prison and
the car,
and then the kind of the interstitials with the prison that Shriek was in. So I thought the economy of time and location helped keep this movie from getting boring, but also helped from keeping it feel like this. It was this like large, expansive, world-saving thing. It was more Ant-Man, Iron Man, than it was Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and that's what right before we started recording, we were talking about Shang-Chi, and I said I liked the movie. The problem is it seemed like its own movie for the first 2/3, and then it did the Marvel save the world. This, you have to do this or the world's ending. And too many of these movies, again, don't get me wrong, I like them, but too often what they do is they blow it up too much. Just focus on your story. There's nothing wrong with that. And making it more personable, making it more friendly neighborhood Spider-Man than end of the world.
Well, it was more of your friendly neighborhood vengeful killer.
Yeah.
Than your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. What did he want to be called? At the end there, what did he want his superhero name to be?
Oh, Lethal Protector.
The Lethal Protector.
Yeah.
With a mask and a cape. Yeah, I liked, so I really liked the odd couple pairing of Venom and Eddie Brock this time out.
Yeah.
Because they've bonded. They've 100% bonded. And, that comes into play later on in the movie. But the whole, Eddie, I got to eat brains. It's like, there's two chickens right there. I love Sonny and Cher. I'll never eat them.
Okay, first Sonny and Cher.
So the chickens so Eddie gets some chickens and chocolate because it's the only two things that have the whatever chemical Venom needs to live. And Venom named two of the chickens, so he wouldn't eat them. He didn't want to eat them anymore, and their brains were too small. He just wanted to eat bad guys.
Yeah,
and kind of the world we live in. Can you blame him?
I cannot blame him.
Can
at all.
you say no, Venom? Don't go eat that bad guy.
Yeah, I'd probably be like, Venom, let's go. Where you want to go?
Just let me eat 2 or 3 of them. I don't think they'll miss anybody. And he's like, someone could be innocent here. I thought that was a great little moment. Just walking through the prison. But yeah, I mean, this was good. This was it. I don't remember which. I saw the headline. I didn't bother reading the review because I didn't want to get tainted. Mm-hmm. But there was a headline that said, "Let there be boredom." Mm-hmm. was the headline for the movie review, and it's like, how are you bored during this movie?
Yeah, and
what movie did you watch that was boring?
Yeah, and again, about headlines. Nowadays, you really have to be careful with headlines, just for the simple fact that, again, they're there for one reason. They're there to gain interest, and they oftentimes purposefully misinterpret, and so it's not actually a misinterpretation. Right. It's a basically lie on what's going on.
Well, we'll get to the lie about this movie, about what's going on when we get to that part. Okay. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think there's a lot of just disingenuous, reviews. This is a small cast. Mm-hmm. It's 2 white guys, a white girl, a black, or 3 white guys, 2 white girls, a black girl, and I guess the cop is white. So, I mean, it's not like
in a convenience
super
store.
diverse cast, but the convenience store clerk is an Asian woman. It's small. It's very self-contained, and it was very good for that. Yes. That, there were very few characters with speaking lines.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're in this world of, it's got to be all or nothing, right? It's got to be all Asian people, all black people, all whatever, or it's not diverse at all, or it doesn't pass some stupid test. This movie obviously doesn't pass the Bechdel test because neither of the female supporting characters talk to anybody else but who they're talking to. So, but that doesn't that's a bullshit test anyway.
Yeah.
But I like I said, it's so self-contained that it's when they're out doing their Venom thing, it's still mostly just the 2 of them on a rooftop.
Yeah.
Which was great. The one thing I will complain about with the Venom CG and the way Venom moved is he moves like the Hulk. It destroys everything he touches. And it's I get it. He's a big lumbering oaf of a creature, but at the same time he shows tremendous grace and depth of movement.
Yeah, and agility.
Let's not just crush everything. It was
what they should have done is, if he in his moods of frustration or something, that would happen. Okay, that's fine. But you're right. Venom is massive, but Venom is not plotting. There's nothing plotting about the character. So that was a little bit much. I thought, just the destruction raining down on the city of San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to destroy a city.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
New York or San Francisco are perfectly fine cities to destroy at this point in time.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, it was like the battle between the two of them. I liked how much of just the Venom head we saw. I liked just kind of the way it moved, and like it gave Tom Hardy like a focal point. I like that Tom Hardy didn't try to do some weird accent this time, like whatever his like Brooklyn-y whatever accent he was going for.
Oh, in the last one?
Yeah, he just kind of was like not using his English accent, right? So it was fine. And he did slip a couple times. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah.
Whenever he said "and," he couldn't say that in an American accent. It was always British. I thought Michelle Williams was pretty underutilized this time, but like what was the Dion Waiters like award, heat check award on the Ringer? Like she definitely won for that.
Oh yeah.
Like Dan's in the conversation, but like Michelle Williams walked away with that. Like, we got to see her as Venom for a minute. Yeah. And that was really funny.
I'm never doing that again. Well, maybe. I don't know. It was so fun.
It was so fun. I liked it. But she was really good. I really liked her. I mean, I like her as an actress. I always thought Dawson should have ended up with her anyway.
I wasn't a huge Joey fan.
No, I don't see how you could be. I mean, like, her and Pacey deserved each other. I told you, if I ever meet him, I'm either only going to call him Charlie Conway or Pacey. I'm not going to call him Joshua Jackson. So we should try and get an interview with him and be like, so Pacey, tell me.
So Charlie.
So Spazway. But no, she was really good. And like, again, they could have shoehorned more of her into it. But I think if they would have done that, it would have had to have been a longer runtime. Or we would have had to miss the fabulous scene of Eddie and Venom being separated. And Eddie and Venom being separated, one, how they quote unquote broke up was hilarious. Venom was just the jilted like lover, throwing things out the window. The homeless guy was like, "I'm calling the police." He threw the $2,000 TV out the window. No. But then what he did to that Ducati.
Oh, man.
That hurt my soul.
Yeah.
Like, I know that wasn't a real Ducati that they destroyed, but like all I could think when that was happening.
How dare you?
It's like,
How dare you?
Venom, you son of a bitch.
And I love how Eddie's just relieved for a second, and then he just hears the crunching,
yeah.
and he knows what's going on.
Yeah. I will say I did like that at the beginning. Eddie had like a cheaper motorcycle and then the Ruroc Berserker helmet, and then
he leveled up.
He leveled up to the Ducati in the Ruroc Atlas 2 Carbon Red, which was
sick.
Chef's kiss. I have two Ruroc helmets, and I the Ruroc Spitfire is like the one I covet right now. So the Atlas 3 Spitfire, but it was really like I like seeing brands that I already support like show up in movies. I thought that was funny. But yeah, that was really good. I liked how indignant Eddie was with like the cops and like what was the cleric's name? I don't want to just keep calling her the Asian lady. She's not even listed in here. That is ridiculous. All right, I'll have to look it up on IMDb in a second. But I liked how snarky he was when he was trying to translate what Venom was saying. And I liked how she knew who Venom was. And when she was like, "Oh, the chocolate's late," and he's like, "Well, I guess I'll have to let him eat you." And like that was Eddie. That wasn't Venom like,
yeah.
"Eddie, let me eat her." That hurts. That hurts more than doing the Batman voice. But anyway, like that was funny. At least he wasn't like, "Eddie, let me eat her." So
yeah, I did like how even without Venom, you could tell that there were parts of Venom that rubbed off on Eddie.
Yeah, because Eddie was a loser and Venom was a winner.
You are a loser.
You, Eddie, are a loser, and I made you what you are. I put you back on
Mrs.
top.
Chin.
Mrs. Chen, thank you. Yeah, Mrs. Chen was great. By Peggy Lou is the actress, and yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed her. I like this whole cast. I actually like this cast. I thought everybody had like chemistry, right? Like when Naomi Harris, when Shriek Naomi Harris kidnapped Anne Michelle Williams, like that was a fun little scene. Like I guess they did talk to each other, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like it was a kidnapping. So, and then Reed Scott, who was Dr. Dan. Did you ever watch Veep?
No.
He is great on Veep. It's on HBO Max. I highly recommend everybody watching Veep. It's got Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she's hilarious. But his character on Veep is great. I think it's another Dan. Anyway, but yeah, I just really liked how everybody in this movie worked. Yep, Dan Egan. Everybody in this movie worked and got some like kind of like hero or villain moment depending on which side of the aisle they fell on.
Yeah.
The best Dan moment though was when Venom went from Anne back into Eddie, and he made them hug.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Kiss her, Eddie." And Dan's like, in the car, like he had the Bucky Sam face.
Yeah.
Like when right before, Cap kissed Agent 13. But yeah, that was funny.
And I actually thought Dan was just going to be kind of loose change in a way, comic relief, which he was,
Well, yeah.
but he actually had, like you said, he actually had a moment.
Fire and sound.
Yeah. So yeah, he had a moment in the script, and so it was like everyone had their chance, like you said, chance to shine. Even Mrs. Chen. I love the scene between her, Mrs. Chen / Venom and
Mrs. Chenham.
Yeah.
So Chenham, no, Venom. I think so. Leading up to Venom and Mrs. Chen bonding for a moment. So Venom and Eddie split up. They have their breakup, and Venom is just hopping from body to body to body because they can't sustain him, which we knew from the first movie. The symbiotes could only. And notice they called them symbiotes this time and not symbiotes.
Symbiotes, yeah.
Like, I wanted to stab a bitch.
Oh my god!
when
Every
they
time
would
she
say
said
that,
that, yeah.
But so Venom was hopping from person to person, and he ends up at like a pride party or gay party, whatever,
I'm not
rave. A lot of just LGBTQ folks, and there was controversy around this because they're like, "Oh, Venom comes out." Yeah, Venom came out as far as
Quite literally.
yeah, quite literally came out of the closet that was Eddie.
Yeah.
So he could be out and about. He's not gay. He's not anything. Like, if he's on that spectrum of like, for lack of a better term, scientific term, queerness, he would be asexual, right?
Absolutely.
So cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're asexual out there, you have representation in Venom now.
Yeah.
Congratulations. But that scene was hilarious. It was so funny. He had the glow necklace and bracelets on, and he was dancing, and he gave like multiple speeches.
Yeah.
And then that poor person that he infected, he just left them in a clump on the side of the ground, like on the side, like up against the wall, and
Drooling.
Like, went on to the next person. It was like, dude, you're a dick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went in not knowing what to expect because I read the quotes from Andy Serkis, and it's like the headlines are saying this, Twitter is saying this.
Yeah.
He did not say that. The writer kind of alluded to that.
Well,
but Tom Hardy did the story, so
yeah. Well, I would say, Serkis, and again, this is where you're talking about headlines and taking a thing of dialogue, a piece of dialogue, and then framing it for your purpose. And the question, it was a leading question. Like, Serkis did not come out and say, hey, yeah, we're doing all this, that, or the other. Right. It was a question he was asked, and I think, honestly, he just kind of pandered to the question, like the
to the
interview.
reporter.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, Kelly Marcel, she's the writer. She's a British screenwriter. Surprisingly enough, she wrote 50 Shades of Grey and Saving Mr. Banks.
I've never seen Saving Mr. Banks.
It's the Tom Hanks one. It's interesting, you know.
Okay.
It was,
okay. I think I never.
Anyway,
I haven't
but
seen
like,
it, though.
but she did Saving Mr. Banks, 50 Shades of Grey, and this. Have you seen 50 Shades of Grey? So I'm gonna take your vomiting face as in yes, you have.
Now, in her defense, I will say the original material that came from
The Twilight fan fiction that it came from.
the literal fan fiction. There's only so much you can do with stuff like that.
Okay, so I've never been like sexually harassed at work, right? Like I just haven't. I mean, I'm not lucky enough to have it. But when that book came out, like when it really hit, I was the only male in an all-female marketing department. And there was a lady who was, a couple years older. I think she's probably 50 now. And yeah, at least 50 now. And she would like be like, "You have to tell your wife to read this." And like she'd like read me an excerpt of it. I'm like, "Lady, I'm not saying her name. This is not cool. Like, no, stop talking about this." And I'm by no means a prude. And I'm like, this is not a workplace conversation we should be having. And I know that's a little diatribe, but it's funny. But no, I thought the dialogue was much better this time out. There was no "like a turd rolling down a hill." Oh my God, that was the dumbest line. Ugh.
I thought that was funny.
No, it was dumb.
It was funny.
It was dumb. Anyway,
Funny.
but like, Eddie doesn't let him eat a priest, which I thought was good. Just the whole thing. But the final battle, I can say like the third act was not as bad as most third acts of these superhero movies. It was by far the weakest part of the movie, in my opinion. I mean,
I thought it was like I don't know.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the weakest in this. Well, in the
I'm
sense
going
of
to tell you
story.
why, but
Okay.
you tell me why you don't think it is.
So, it lacked the, obviously it did lack, for the most part, it lacked the feel good humor, which carried the first two acts. And what I did like about it, and again, it was a culmination of the arc of Venom and Eddie. We got that, and one of my favorite scenes in Spider-Man: Homecoming is when Peter is under the debris, and he's like, "Help! I'm just a kid. Help!"
Right,
and then
right.
he hears the voice of, "If you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve it."
Right.
And then he sees himself in the reflection in the water, and that's what he gets out. This one had a similar one and again, first the action was great.
The action was really
But
good. I'm not
yeah. So
my
that's
problem's
why
not with the action.
Yeah. And so what you're saying, it didn't have necessarily the same heart of the first two acts. So I don't know if I would I'm still not sure if I would say it was the weakest.
I don't think it was as good a third act as the first movie.
That's actually
So
I'm kind of running it through my head
so
right
the
now.
difference is like that rocket, right?
Yeah.
Like the first movie was like night, and so like Venom was kind of hard to see, but what was happening was good. This one, and this is where it fails for me, or not fails, but this is where it kind of
It falls off. Yeah.
falls off. Better way to put it is it was equal parts Spider-Man 3 finale and Ben Affleck Daredevil finale. And I just felt like there wasn't a ton of originality in what happened.
Well, I also kind of got Amazing Spider-Man 2 vibes.
Yeah, that was in there. Yeah, I mean with Anne. And
yeah, I was about to
everything.
say with Gwen.
but they didn't drop her.
Yeah.
Like Venom actually, like to his peril, let her land,
Which I really like that.
like lowered her down, which
Yeah.
was good. But like she wasn't falling. He didn't try to save her. But I can see what you're.
Yeah.
What you're
I mean,
saying
that-
there.
I mean, that
I mean, and they're both smoking hot blondes. So.
Yeah. So that's what watching that scene when it first started, that's what came to mind.
But without that happening, we don't get that kick-ass scene where Venom and Eddie are falling separate from each other. and Dan reaches out, and Venom runs down his arm, through his leg, through Anne's arm, and up her other arm to catch Eddie as he's falling.
Yeah.
That was like the action of the finale of that final 10 minutes was great. Like, it was great. My only issue was none of it, almost none of it felt original.
Yeah.
And everything else in this movie kind of felt like an Odd Couple version of a superhero movie that, like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier wanted to be.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Broke your nose. Let me heal it.
Yeah.
Sucker break it again.
I mean, yeah, it was like their dialogue back and forth was great. But even at the end, like when he was stuck under the rubble, I was like, oh, how very Homecoming. Yeah. But like, it was Eddie giving Venom the pep talk because Venom the whole time is like,
we can't beat this.
Oh, it's a red one. I don't fight the red ones. They'll kill me. Which was interesting and it was great because I think if this does well and they do well, I mean, Venom is obviously going to return, and we'll get to the mid-credit scene at the end. Spoilers. But the fact that they didn't go any further into that, I thought really helped because, like, again, it would have added another like 5 to 10 minutes, take you out of that scene to do like a flashback of the symbiote world where like the red ones are so mean and the green ones are just okay and the blue ones are this and the black ones are subjugated because that's what they would have done. So, am I wrong?
No, you're not.
So, anywho. I guess I should have let you say that. I shouldn't have said that. Whatever.
But again, to that point, I like that we don't get a lot about the symbiote world.
Right.
And that's how it should be.
I mean, you get Eddie tells him he's broken, right? Like, which is true. And like, I just said like too many times. In the Guardians of the Galaxy comic book, they go to the symbiote home world and they actually fix Venom, where he can bond with Eddie and not have the 48-hour time limit before it takes over, because there was something that broke in the symbiote, and I forget the name, his real name, but that broke in Venom when he first bonded with John Jameson and then with Peter. And Peter's rage is kind of what, like, you know, internal rage is kind of what got Venom off kilter anyway. So I mean, it's really cool. The history of Venom is cool. So this movie draws really from the Maximum Carnage miniseries and the Venom saga, which was a animated series. So, or not animated series, but animated story. As far as like comic books go, I feel like considering Venom did not start in Spider-Man, this is Venom. There's no doubt about that. This is Venom.
Yeah.
And every time I say Venom, I hear Eminem in my head, and it's driving me nuts.
Okay, I'm not the only one then.
Yeah. I will say, with what happened in the end credit scene, I'm actually really excited for where this is going to go, and hopefully what Sony wants to build, they're going to get to build with Tom Holland away from the MCU influence.
Yeah. That would be good.
So, okay. So the very end, we end with Eddie and Venom like, hey, you know, Venom's like, Eddie, I have to leave you. I have to go. They're chasing me. They're gonna hunt me down. And he's like, they're chasing us both. And that's not what Eddie sounded like. But they're chasing us both. We're better together. We're bonded. And it was nice to watch them come back together. I liked Dan's comment about those two really need a couples counseling. Yeah. And it's like they kind of had that with Sonny and Cher there in that courtyard where they were still just hanging out because they didn't want to go. The chickens didn't want to go anywhere when Eddie tried to get rid of them. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Like, I would almost go pay to see it again in the theater.
Yeah.
Like,
and again, going back to the post-credit, one of the things they mention is the symbiote home world and all of the memories
Yes.
that Venom has as a part of that collective
And so
hive.
he gives Eddie part of it.
But something happens.
So,
which,
well, okay. So hold on. Let's reset the scene real quick.
Yeah.
So they're in, I'm assuming Mexico.
they're on a beach.
Yeah, they're on a beach. I'm just assuming Mexico based on the hotel room they were in. But they're on a beach because Venom wanted to feel the sand in his toes and the wind in his hair. Hilarious, because he doesn't have hair, and he doesn't have his own toes. But so that's where the movie ends, essentially. Well, yeah, that's where it ended. And then you had the mid-credit scene where they're in the hotel room and Eddie's laying in the bed and they're talking and Venom's like, it would melt your pea-sized brain. and so Eddie's like, fine, I can take it. And he does it. And as he does, the whole like room fritzes.
Yeah.
And Venom's like, I didn't do that. And J. Jonah Jameson's on the TV all of a sudden.
And I absolutely love when, he's talking, it's about the whole Peter Parker Spider-Man thing. And then Venom gets this look on his face and he like comes closer to the TV and he's like, this guy. And then his tongue comes out and just like,
Yeah.
and I just love that reaction in the sense of there's something like almost like that connection that's not quite there, but is.
It's
that
the
Venom,
multiverse.
Yeah, that Venom has towards Peter Parker. So I really like that. And then it was, dude, what are you doing in my room?
Yeah, they were just they ended up in someone else's room. It's kind of like when the blip happened and everybody came back. The other thing we left out is the police detective who Shriek maimed at the beginning of the movie. He took her eye after she took his ear. Hearing. He had a flash of blue eyes, which is the symbiote toxin. So we don't know if anything's going to happen with that. It would be pretty interesting to see more of them show up because I think there's 7 of them. If I remember
don't remember that.
correctly.
Yeah, almost like 7 deadly.
But I mean, I think that's kind of what they're going for, or what they were going for in the comic. But I mean, we saw like the various colors of symbiotes in the first one when they were trying to bond them to people. So who knows what's going to happen? But I mean, it was just kind of a cool little moment there at the like kind of a throwaway little scene as it kind of panned over him to show he wasn't dead yet.
Right.
All right. So out of and then we didn't talk about Cletus's demise, which was great.
That was one of the best parts.
It was a great way to cap off the movie.
Yeah, it's cap off.
No pun intended. So they're holding him and Venom draws out Carnage and like reabsorbs him. And then Cletus is saying, Eddie, I just wanted to be your friend.
Yeah.
And Venom goes, fuck this guy. And hits his head. And it was great. It was great. This was after Carnage had eaten the priest.
Yeah.
So it was a really just funny moment that I did not expect.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to kill Cletus.
Yeah. I thought he would. I did not. I don't know. I was expecting. I was like, this guy has to die. But there was a part of me where, because again, Eddie felt guilt because his story and finding the bodies that Cletus had hidden promulgated Cletus getting the death penalty.
Right.
Which okay.
Well, because he wanted to make sure all the bodies were found.
So that's, I thought for a second he would let him live just for that. But just the way that Venom said that was just such a great capper.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's do out of 10. Out of 10 headless priests.
Okay, that's creepy because that was the first thing that came to mind.
Okay, so out of 10 headless priests, what do you give this?
I give it a 7.5. I did like it better than the first one. I think it was, and again, part of it is the fact that it was shorter. I thought it was
a little shorter.
Yeah.
But,
but in the sense of we didn't have to do the origin and all that. And that was, for me, the first act of the movie of the first Venom was pretty clunky. And it picked up as the movie went along, of course. So we didn't have to worry about that here. So 7.5. And also, I was expecting, and again, I said this in the beginning, recalibrating my expectations on saying, hey, it's like thinking of a Sam Raimi Spider-Man in the sense of you have to understand this is not going to be like your traditional MCU fare.
Yeah.
And which is good. We need that type of variety.
Well, to kind of go back to the first one, as much as I like Riz Ahmed and everything else, he brought the entire first movie down because he was just the wrong actor for that role.
I didn't like him in that role either.
Cool. I go 7, solid 7. For me, that's a really good score. I think the degree of difficulty for this movie was somewhere around a 5. So, I think it definitely stuck the landing and, overperformed based on what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So,
and again, this is one of those I'll definitely buy when it comes out.
Oh, 100%. Like, maybe not day one, but yeah, like, I'm not going to spend $20 on it, but I'll buy it.
No.
I spend 12.
I was about to say,
So
10. 10 is, I love the 10, but for this one, I'd bump it up to 12.
I mean, I bought the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard for $11.99, so which was really funny. Not as good as the first one, but way more over top than the first one. And Morgan Freeman is amazing in it. So, which I didn't know he was in it.
I didn't even know he
watch
was
the
in it.
previews. All right. So that's our Venom review.
Venom.
Okay, so funny thing is Skylar Grey did the song at the end of this one. That's who the female voice was, the vocalist. So she was supposed to do that one duet with Eminem that Rihanna ended up doing.
Oh.
Using her song, I Like the Way You Lie.
Yeah.
And then Rihanna heard the song and she's like, no, I want it. And so they're like, well, this is Rihanna, which never sat well with me because I don't like when that happens.
Yeah.
But it was just really funny that it's like, okay, Eminem did the last one and now she's doing this one.
Yeah,
So,
that's funny. I didn't know that.
so it's just little bits of weirdness that stick in my head and go forever. Okay, so what are you reading, watching, or playing?
Okay. So right now I am going to the PlayStation.
Which we are both PS5 owners.
Yeah.
So
I am playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and Destiny 2 right now. But I did get Returnal, and it's like a PS5 exclusive game. I got it for $39 from GameFly. So because everywhere else it was like $20, because PS5 games, like the true PS5 games, are now going to be $69, which, considering they haven't upped the price in years, okay, whatever.
well, keep this in mind. Is when we were kids, Nintendo games were $50.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got Phantasy Star 2
Yeah.
for the Sega Genesis for, I think it was $79. So that's what I'm playing. I'm reading, you'll like this, I'm reading Dune and the Alphabet Squadron, which I know. I've been doing that for a while. I got sidetracked with other stuff. And as far as what I'm watching right now, Foundation on Apple TV. No, stop. The first episode was, the second episode I liked. Third episode, we'll see. And also I started Squid Game.
Okay.
Which
I've had a couple people say I should watch that.
yeah, and again, I don't know why, but it's like more Korean movies. Like when you're talking about international movies, more of those stick with me, like movies and TV shows, than any of the others. You got the Train to Busan. You have the Kingdom zombie movie or zombie TV show that was out on Netflix. So those are the things I'm doing. What about you?
So watching Ted Lasso. So
Haven't gotten to that one
this
yet.
was the penultimate season 2 episode, which was really like, I don't know. It's gotten a little like dark.
Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly dark at the end of the season here. Hold on. And then I am reading Legion. So Legion of Superheroes, the Legion by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, Volume 2, which is the Legion Lost storyline, where part of the Legion got thrown way across the galaxy, and they're trying to get back to Earth because they don't know what happened or anything. It's one of my favorite arcs in the Legion of Superheroes ever, and so rereading that. And I've been playing Squadrons again.
Yeah, you haven't touched Ghost of Tsushima.
I've played the first 7 minutes, but then I'm just obsessed with wrestling right now.
Yes,
I'm getting the wrestling figures again. Like the AEW figures are amazing, but I've been watching like old matches. Like I went back and watched some Major League Wrestling MJF. I've been watching like old Sammy Guevara indie matches. I watched. It wasn't Kenny. It might have been. It was an early Kenny Omega Ring of Honor match. It was him and Bryan Danielson and Tyler Black, who was Seth Rollins in WWE, in a triple threat match, and it was in Toronto, and they're booing Kenny, like, because he was so young, and it was. I mean, they were all so young, but like he was still like fresh.
Yeah.
So like going back and watching stuff like that. I'm really hoping like Ricochet leaves WWE soon because I'd like to see him go back to Impact. But yeah, so just kind of watching like I mean, obviously watching all the AEW stuff, but just going back and watching like just old matches and things that I like. And lastly, I finally tracked down the final two finals bouts from the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh yeah, you were looking for that.
I found them. They were on ESPN Plus.
Oh, I should add that I am watching, speaking of wrestling, not just AEW, but I'm watching the Dark Side of the Ring series on Hulu.
Yeah, we
great.
watched. Yeah, I mean,
It's so good.
So Vice, well, you can find the new season on YouTube. Usually the day after, like people post it. Sometimes Vice posts it. So highly the Chris Canyon, the two sides of Chris Canyon,
I haven't watched that yet.
It's heartbreaking. And I mean, I just, I mean, when he's widely considered the like most underrated, most underutilized wrestler in history. And, it's just kind of heartbreaking what happened. And he took his own life. And, but you also see with the Young Bucks and some of these younger guys, like, his legacy continue with how they work matches and things like that. So I mean, it's there's a positive, but it's still like just horrible what happened with him. In the plane ride from hell was just
jeez.
It was uncomfortable to watch. But yeah, I mean, just so much cool stuff. The Expanse book 9 comes out in like
November,
5 weeks. Yeah, I think I have it pre-ordered on Audible already.
I'm still debating if I want to get it on Audible or get the book.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I've only done the audiobooks for all of them.
I've never done an audio for that series, so I'm not sure.
And then I also did they're doing an Audible collection of all the novellas into one thing. So I pre-ordered that as well, even though I have most of them.
Yeah, some of those are really good.
Yeah, like the Dogs of War is only available like on a website. So it's got that, or not the dog, the Butcher of Anderson Station. Sorry, is only available on some website as a PDF. So having that will be cool to revisit and everything. But yeah,
a lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff.
Well, I mean, like you, I like to read and do and play things and I'm busy. I don't know. I got that bow and arrow there. I got to go learn how to use that.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So. Get a gun. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really want a gun. But yeah, I mean, like there's lots of cool shit happening right now. Dune comes out in a few weeks. Looking forward to that. Looking forward, like I said, to the Ted Lasso season 2 finale next week. Archer's been killing it. The Goldbergs is back on ABC, so that's been fun.
I'm still on season 5 of Modern Family.
Nice. You've only got 6 seasons to go.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, and then there's a show on ABC called Home Economics, and it's Topher Grace.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
It's in its 2nd season.
You mean Venom?
Yeah. You mean who should have been Peter Parker? I mean, think about that. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, anyway, but I like Topher Grace. He's like, I have a soft spot for Topher Grace in my heart, so I will support anything he's in. But I actually like it. It's a good show. So
I haven't heard of that one.
yeah, it's on ABC. It's on either right before or right after. So
Okay.
and then obviously Heels,
Yeah.
except for last week. Sons of
Yeah.
Bitches.
Yeah, we get the next episode this coming Sunday.
Yep, this coming Sunday.
I don't. Are we sure?
I think it's 2 or 3 more episodes.
Okay, that's
so.
the thing I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I mean, it's very like
Secretive
cagey.
almost. Yeah.
I will say I do want to check out Deathloop.
Yeah.
I saw a preview for it on the TV at the gym, and I'm like, oh, that looks really cool, and it looked really good. I would love to see what the game actually looks like on a 4K television.
Yeah.
because I imagine it looks amazing.
Yeah, that's one of those I'm not sure about that game, but yeah, Returnal will be my. I've watched a couple of reviews on that, and it's going to be one of those interesting games.
What's Returnal about?
You crash on a planet, then you have to figure your way off. But anytime you get killed, what happens is you start it over. So, but things change. It's not like it's not most games you have the same enemies.
It's like Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah, but but it's in the sense of things are different. Like from what I understand, so it's one of those that in certain things they said it really harnesses some PS5 power. But again, this is a first generation, so it's not going to take it till its fullest. But
Okay.
it was $30 off. I'm like, hey,
Nice.
I'll take a shot at that.
Very cool. Yeah. The other cool thing I got this week was my Rebellion hat. The Rebellion hat from
Welcome to the
Strong
Rebellion.
3PO
Yeah,
and 9 Line. They're great hats. I have it on right now.
yeah. Do they have a visor?
No.
Oh, damn it.
They just did. I mean, they only did like the hats for like 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
They were for sale. Drunk 3PO said they sold like 300 of them, which was
Mm-hmm.
like double what their best selling hat ever did. Like for the like limited time ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's really cool. So and he donated all the money to charity. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Anyway, all right. I think that's the show.
Yeah,
So thanks for going to see Venom with me at the last minute.
I know it was fun.
So I'm glad Jess liked it.
Yeah.
So-
She looked over. She was like, I want to see the first one right now.
Yeah. Oh, and a shout out to our buddy Matt Mitchell, who's
Yeah.
filled in for Darryl a couple times.
Inktober.
Yeah, Inktober. So if you don't follow him, he's the Matt-tastic on Instagram. Just check out my stories because I'm going to be sharing his Inktober stuff every
good
every
stuff,
week.
man.
And I have a Spider-Man Inktober from him, and I have a Dune Inktober from him that are both framed in my office.
Yeah.
And
I have a
prized
Grogu.
possessions. Yeah, you have one of the cells from the Grogu animation he did.
Yeah.
So,
It's pretty sweet.
which I framed for you for your birthday.
Yes.
So,
It's hanging up on my wall.
yep. Anywho. All right. Well, on that note, we will see you guys next week.
Peace out.
Later.